Good morning. President Park Geun-hye breaks her silence on matters of the National Assembly, calling for lawmakers to break the deadlock and get back to focusing on the livelihoods of the people. U.S. President Barack Obama says the Ebola epidemic is spreading out of control and a global security threat. The U.S. will send 3,000 troops to help contain the deadly virus. Eureka! A simple business model gone golden. Strike Gold looks at the success behind a mini beer pub with big ideas. Washers for your kitchen that save you time and effort. Energy efficient and easy to use. On Korea Today, Wednesday, September 17th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning and welcome to Korea Today on this hump day. I'm Kim Min-jung alongside Kim Young and Jin-ju. If taking a stroll in the palace under the moonlight sounds like your cup of tea, you're in luck.
Right, because starting yesterday, the Changgyeong Palace has opened to visitors during the evening hours, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And this nighttime opening of the palace will continue until September 28th.
That's right.
All of the online tickets have already been sold out.
No.
But senior citizens age 65 and over and foreigners can buy tickets at the site. So why don't you go check out?
130 tickets are still available for the elderly and also foreign visitors. So make sure to check out.
That's on a daily basis.
That's right.
And also one of the best ways is to make that reservation so you can find out more information about it if you search on it on one of the portal sites there. And now we'll jump to our top story for this morning. Now, with the National Assembly standstill, President Park Geun-hye broke her silence and gave her first response to the main opposition party's calls that she step in to help resolve the current legislative deadlock.
지금 진상조사위원회에 수사권과 기소권을 주자는 주장에 대해 일부에서는 대통령이 결단을 하라고 합니다. 하지만 그것은 삼권 분립과 사법 체계의 근간을 흔드는 일로 대통령으로서 할 수 없고
Parliamentary activity has been nearly non-existent with the opposition boycotting legislation until an agreement is reached on the Seoul bill. The victims' families have demanded that the committee stated on the bill have more power in the investigation. The president, in reply, said the second bipartisan deal on the bill, which the opposition backtracked from last month, should be accepted, and urging Parliament to quickly get past the standoff and focus on improving people's livelihoods and national safety management. The standing committees, with or without the opposition, are expected to resume on Wednesday, with the ruling party aiming to pass other economic and reform-related bills at a plenary session on September 26th.
South Korea's national security advisor says Seoul will provide humanitarian assistance in the U.S.-led efforts to combat Islamic State militants, adding that the outline on military support has not shaped up yet. The comments came after Mr. Kim Kwan-jin sat down with U.S. Deputy Secretary of State William Burns, leading observers to speculate that Seoul is not ruling out military contribution. Kim also said the Korean government shares Washington's concerns on the Ebola outbreak, adding that Seoul will look into ways to provide support in curbing the spread of the deadly virus. In wrapping up his 4-day visit to the U.S., Kim assessed that the two allies are on the same page on major bilateral and international issues, including North Korea's nuclear pursuit.
And finance ministers and central bankers of Korea, China, and Japan are to meet this week on Friday to discuss major economic issues. Ahead of this weekend's G20 gathering in Cairns, Australia, Korea will chair the meeting where policymakers will discuss macroeconomic conditions and regional financial cooperation. This is the first meeting of its kind since President Park Geun-hye and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe took office. Ties between Korea and Japan have soured mainly due to Japan's denial of its historical wrongdoing, resulting in stalled financial cooperation in recent years. The three countries will issue a joint statement following the meeting.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. And as you heard in the program's headlines earlier on, President Park Geun-hye yesterday flatly ruled out any concessions, urging the parliament to quickly pass the contentious
special Seoul bill. Now, this story is on all the local papers today. So let's begin with this on Ilbo, and it is the top one here. The headline says President Park draws a line on Seoul bill. So the president yesterday clarified that her administration would not accept calls from opposition lawmakers to take the initiative in providing the victims' families with the authority to investigate and indict suspects. And in the subheadlines, it notes that in a cabinet meeting, she said that the call is not something that she can determine as a president, as it would undermine the separation of powers and the judicial system. And she added that the government's every effort would come to nothing unless the parliament gives its endorsement. Now on Gyeongyang Shinmun, the same issue is being looked at in a similar standpoint. So let me briefly mention it. This one is called President and Ruling Party Declares Seoul Bill is over. And it is noted in the subheadlines as well. It says that the president broke her long-awaited silence with a firm and uncompromising stance. She emphasized that the special bill should not be politically exploited. And this is an image of the president with leaders from the ruling Saenuri Party for talks on such key state issues at the presidential office of Cheongwade yesterday. Now, in the meantime, the bereaved families criticized the president's remarks, saying that after only 4 months, the president is deluded into believing that she is exempt from taking the needed responsibility. And leaving that there, we'll take a look at another domestic issue at the top here on Ilbo. And the title says, Smoke Around No Smoking Areas, Confusion at Gangnam-daedo Road. So this strip here is the Gangnam-daedo Road, and the X's that you're seeing are buildings in which you are not allowed to smoke in, whereas the small O's are buildings that possess both smoking and non-smoking zones. Now, the bigger, the white circles here are locations that have spontaneously become smoking zones because people have started smoking in them to evade the non-smoking designated areas. If we do take a look at the sub-headlines here right underneath, close up, it says that this just goes on to show that there's such a mix of these X's and O's, or the non-smoking and smoking zones, coexisting in the buildings throughout the big road, that the appearance of autonomous smoking zones have been created. And let's go to some business news on the Mail Business newspaper first. In the middle here, about words coming from the finance minister, and the headline says, Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan says Korea's stock market is undervalued. Now, meeting with foreign journalists to explain Seoul's economic policy measures that his team has taken since mid-July, Choi reaffirmed that the government will implement expansionary macroeconomic policies until they produce tangible results while tackling structural problems facing the Korean economy. Now, he added that the Korean economy grew rapidly in the past, but that the economic recovery is slowing amid continuing years of low growth, and that the Korea stock market is undervalued, which also means that national wealth is undervalued as well. And finally, on the Korea Economic Daily, for the main story here, this article is titled Samsung being chased counterattacking with middle to low priced smartphones. And in the sub-headlines, it says that Samsung Electronics is seeking to release a more affordable smartphone within the range of $300 or less, with its own separate brand name towards the end of next month to the world, to increase its market share that has been losing somewhat to other Chinese smartphone makers. And if we do take a look at this graph, it shows that the less expensive smartphone market has, in fact, been growing since last year, which is to be expanded more in the coming years as well. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Wednesday. And following are the stock numbers from Tuesday.
Now, it is definitely that sweater weather or that hoodie weather, because this morning when I was coming out here, at least at 3 a.m., it was rather chilly.
Pretty chilly, right?
That's right.
We are expecting overcast skies across Korea as well. For a closer look at today's weather conditions, our birthday girl, Chun Sung-cho, is standing by. So let's wish her a happy birthday.
Good morning, guys. Thank you very much. I'm reporting live from the Yongsan Family Park. Today has started with some rain for Chungcheongnam-do Province and southern regions. A trough of low pressure system over in the north is giving us some cloudy weather all across the country and also relieving some light sprinkles in some areas. In the afternoon, the east coastal regions are expected to see 5 to 20 millimeters of precipitation, but toward the inland areas, conditions are looking more fickle. We're expecting some scattered drizzle all across some areas, so have your umbrella ready just in case. The rain will fall on and off until tomorrow around the south and east coastal regions. Today, the temperatures are looking much cooler compared to yesterday, like you guys have mentioned earlier, and it's also due to the cloudy weather. Midday highs won't go past 25 in many cities. And with that, let's take a closer look at the temperature readings. Seoul, Daegu, Gwangju, and Daejeon can all expect cool afternoon with highs of 24. Jeju will be the warmest of all at 26. Gangneung stays the coolest at 19 degrees Celsius due to strong easterly winds. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to you, Jinju.
U.S. President Barack Obama has called for a more concerted global response to contain the Ebola epidemic. And for more on the details, we turn to our Eunice Kim at the News Center. Good morning, Eunice.
Good morning, Jinju.
So, Eunice, Obama's ramped-up plan to help combat the virus includes a deployment of thousands of troops.
That's correct, Jinju. We are talking about some 3,000 military personnel, and their role, from what it sounds like, will be varied, including training some 500 healthcare providers in West Africa per week, building more treatment centers and isolation centers, as well as offer logistical and engineering support to combat this raging outbreak. All in all, the largest international response in the history of the American Public Health Institute, the CDC. President Obama said even though Ebola does not currently directly threaten the United States, it still remains a national security priority. And as large-scale as this response may sound, it is unclear whether it will be enough to impact this outbreak that is so entrenched. The United Nations has released a warning that containing the West African epidemic would cost nearly $1 billion to keep it from turning into a human catastrophe. It also said the number of Ebola cases could begin to double every 3 weeks. Nearly 5,000 cases have been logged in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Nigeria, and Senegal since March, with about half of those being identified in the last 3 weeks. Now, Russia's defense minister has indicated that more troops may be necessary in the annexed Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea, citing the growing presence of foreign forces and a deterioration of the situation in Ukraine. The statement by Minister Sergei Shoigu was made in a meeting with his military commanders, but did not specify what types of forces he would send. Now, some 1,300 soldiers from 15 countries, including NATO member states, are holding military drills in western Ukraine. NATO has said a buildup of Russian forces would raise tensions and undermine the shaky ceasefire in place between Kiev and separatists in eastern Ukraine. Speaking of which, Ukraine's parliament has approved President Petro Poroshenko's plan to grant special status to the regions claimed by separatists, which would grant self-rule for a 3-year period and also allow deeper relations with neighboring Russia. It also ratified an association agreement with the European Union Tuesday, the same deal that had triggered the crisis that pitted Russia against the West.
And turning to yet another crisis, this one in Iraq and Syria. Now, the U.S. has until now maintained a stance that it will not engage in a ground war against Islamic State militants, but it now seems that this option is not an impossibility.
Not an impossibility indeed. Both Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, and Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel were present at the Senate Armed Services Committee meeting last night. And General Dempsey said that a deployment of U.S. ground forces in Iraq and Syria is possible should the current anti-Islamic State strategy prove to be ineffective. It is, of course, worth mentioning that he did underline that there was no intention currently to use American military advisors in direct ground combat, limiting U.S. warring contribution to airstrikes. Secretary Hagel, meanwhile, while outlining in more detail America's plans to deal with IS, indicated that this struggle will be a long one, or in his words, a generational effort. And with that, we'll wrap your look at the global headlines we are following this morning.
And still ahead in Korea today, a place you can always feel free to stop by after work for a drink or two. Reasonable prices, good food, and great ideas come alive at Apgujeong Bonggu Beer. Strike Gold reveals the secrets of this frontrunner in Korea's small beer market, so stay tuned.
At the end of this month, Pyeongchang and the mountainous Gangwon Province will play host to a UN conference on biodiversity. It's the 12th meeting of its kind since it first began in 1994. And to talk to us about this convention, we're now joined by Mr. Kim Sang-hoon, Director General of the Korean Secretariat of the UN Biodiversity Conference. Welcome to our program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, tell us about this convention first and why it's important that these countries come together and discuss biodiversity every other year.
Considering the global environment, there are a lot of various places such as Amazon or tropical rainforest and wetlands, mangroves, etc. So we need to kind of concerted effort to protect and conserve the biological diversity on a global scale. That's why the Conference of the Parties participating all the member countries is very essential.
Right. Let's not leave out the demilitarized zone separating South and North Korea. Also, we'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's talk about how Pyeongchang was chosen to host this conference. I know many cities had competed to host this conference. What is the main theme of the Pyeongchang conference this time?
Because Gangwon Province is the most richest reservoir of the biological diversity in South Korea, and also it has the demilitarized zone, as you mentioned. Half of the demilitarized zone is located in Gangwon Province, and also Pyeongchang is the venue for the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. Right. So considering all those factors, it was kind of natural result.
Just in short, what is the slogan for the Pyeongchang conference this time?
Yes, at this time, the theme for the conference is the biodiversity for sustainable development, which means this time is from the global aspect, particularly at the UN arena. The sustainable development goals is a kind of co-concept after the Millennium Development Goals. From 2015.
I see. Now, President Park Geun-hye has also invited North Korean delegates to attend this conference and to join the convention as well. Any word on whether they'll participate, and why is it important that North Korea joins hands in these global efforts?
Yes, the Korean Peninsula, as you might be aware, is kind of one ecological or environmental territory. But it is divided by military reasons. So we need some jointed efforts,
right?
Yes, between the two Koreas to conserve our natural ecosystems.
Sure.
And also the current political situation between the North and South Korea has kind of a little bit tensions.
Right.
But I think the environmental issues or biological diversity issues could be a good medium for dialogue between the two Koreas, and also it could be a new beginning of the mutual cooperation between South and North when they participated in the conference.
Any word on whether they will participate yet? Any official response?
Still, there is still
not yet.
Yes. No.
Okay. Well, it's still a few days left.
We are waiting.
So,
yes.
all right. Well, maybe they'll change their mind, right? Well, let's talk about the Millennium Development Goals set by the UN. It expires in 2015. What are some of the new priorities that are set by your organization, by the convention, in terms of biodiversity?
As you mentioned, at the UN level, after the Millennium Development Goals, which will be expired in 2015, and as a succession, there might be a new goals, such as Sustainable Development Goals, but we are trying to incorporate biological issues need to be incorporated into the new Sustainable Development Goals. So, as you mentioned, in the SDG proposal, as a follow-up of the future we want, the final document of the Rio Plus 20 conference, and there was two biological diversity issues in the terrestrial or marine ecosystem issues. Those goals are already included in the proposal among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay, so lots of new goals and challenges to be tackled ahead. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insight with us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 21 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday morning, and still ahead on Korea Today. Hygiene is key when it comes to your health, and we show you what kind of washer businesses are bringing to the shelves to ensure just that. Super energy efficient dishwashers, produce washers, and more coming up on Hot Items. Pretty soon we really won't need to do anything in the kitchen anymore. But enough about that. We're going to be talking about our arts and culture segment for today. There was a phenomenon called the British Invasion, which included groups like the Beatles as well as Queen when they started taking over the world as well as the U.S. music market. And our Lee Myun-hee joins us with some kind of a throwback, I would say. Good morning.
Exactly. Trip down memory lane. Good morning. So the Beatles and Queen, a couple of cultural icons and legends in the world. And so it's been a few decades since their heyday, but they show that they're not quite done producing music yet. Take a look.
At one point, they were one of the biggest rock bands in the world, taking the world by storm with their tongue-in-cheek attitude and catchy vocal harmonies. The four-member British rock band, also known as Queen, is one of the most legendary groups to enter the field. An influence of their work is still seen rippling through the music industry. It's estimated that they sold up to 300 million records, making them one of the best-selling music artists of all time. In 1974, Queen performed live at the Rainbow, new on the scene, but full of energy. The concert, considered a landmark in music history. And now, for the first time ever, the live music is being released to the public, containing unique and previously unreleased material. Queen live at the Rainbow 74 brings back memories that has fans everywhere dusting off their year. Another legendary rock band that influenced Queen and is considered by some as the greatest and most influential of the era is the Beatles. Formed in 1960, this four-member band started by playing in clubs in Liverpool, but quickly grew as Beatlemania syndrome spread worldwide. Nicknamed the Fab Four, they revolutionized popular music, its style, sound, but mostly the attitude toward the genre, as the band opened the doors to rock and roll. And though they disbanded in 1970, their music is still loved by millions around the world. So the recently released Beatles mono vinyl remasters has Beatle fans everywhere breaking out their record players. The 14 albums have been restored to their original glory, each vinyl replicated precisely down to the original artwork.
We are cutting straight from the analog tapes and referring to the original cutting notes. We're not trying to recreate the originals, but we're trying to produce the original intention.
So they're cutting from the analog tapes, and what they're doing is they're not putting it into digital format, but they're coming out with the mono vinyls, which really definitely will bring back something, because vinyl had its time, and at the same time, it still has something to offer. People still flock to these vinyl bars just to listen to music on vinyls, right?
Even my father, he still has his collection from when he was growing up, so, you know, very special to some people.
And some of those are worth a lot of money as well. Now, the Beatles were at their peak in sometime during the 60s, and the Beatlemania also took fame over here. I mean, they were so popular everywhere in the world, and the surviving members are still doing a lot of music, aren't they?
Right. So actually, Paul McCartney was scheduled to visit Korea early this year as part of a tour at the age of 72. It's amazing that he still is quite active on the scene, but unfortunately, he had to cancel that tour, but hopefully he will be back to perform. So they are still very active and touching the hearts of millions.
All right. What about Queen? Some of the band members, surviving band members, are pretty active as well.
Right. So they still call themselves Queen. And actually, they had the first performance here in Korea this year. They did a collaboration with Adam Lambert, and so the Queen performed at the Supersonic Music Festival this summer. And so people were very excited about that. They were very well received, and you know, the Queen had some great hits. They actually created the musical We Will Rock You based on the Queen's tunes, and that musical showed in Korea a couple of years ago as well. And so the Queen is very much loved here, and you know, they were very much appreciated, especially during the visit this summer.
All right. Well, I'm sure that many people are looking forward to the mono vinyl releases, and also it seems that things of the past are coming back. You know, it's not just about MP3s and the digitized era, but kind of little bit of the analog and the old, right? All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
In time for News Sum Up, trending online is the discovery of one of the oldest surviving print of a Korean children's film that dates back to the 1940s.
That's right, a rare discovery, and this was thought to have been lost until now, but it was found in the China Film Archive. We'll turn to Seo Mi-sorang for details. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. And this film has particular significance in the film industry because it was the very first Korean film to star a child in the leading role. So here are the screenshots. 수업료, or tuition, centers around a boy from a poor family as he tries to come up with enough money to pay for his elementary school tuition. Now, on the topic of finding things, another historical discovery is making headlines online. This time, it's a cemetery from the 3rd, 4th century in Gangwon Province. And as you can see from this picture, it's notable for the grid-like division between each burial lot. Moving on to some light news, 2 baby foxes born earlier this year in April have been released into the wild with their parents. It's part of the Environment Ministry's goal of having 50 foxes live in the Sobaeksan mountain by the year 2020 to increase the flora and fauna in the region. So to better their chances of survival, these baby foxes underwent a preparation period prior to their soft release, where they learned to find food, dig holes, and generally got used to their surroundings in an acclimation pen for about a month. Meanwhile, singer-actor Park Yu-cheon's fan community, the Blessing Yucheon, have opened up a second Park Yu-cheon library for children, this time in the Heuksando Island of Jeollanam-do Province. And let's finish things off today with a short clip of another flash mob dancing for the upcoming Incheon Asian Games. So this one was held in front of the Dongdaemun Design Plaza, or DDP, in downtown Seoul. And some 100 people danced in unison to the game's theme song titled Only One. This mob included the mascot Spotted Seals, professional cheerleaders from Incheon, as well as some 50 dancers from 8 different countries to represent a united Asia. With just 2 days to go until the game officially kicks off, there's certainly a lot of excitement in the air. And with that, it's a wrap for today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
And a good Wednesday morning to you all as we kick things off with the 2014 Incheon Asian Games, which is now just 2 days away. And on Tuesday, the main squad of the South Korean delegation arrived in Incheon. Now, 60 members of the delegation arrived in Incheon, led by the head of the Korea Sailing Federation and chief of delegation Park Sun-ho, and began their stay at the Athletes Village. Now, Park vowed to achieve good results in order to heal the wounds of the people caused by the tragic Seoul ferry accident back in April. Meanwhile, the entire South Korean delegation will have the official flag-raising ceremony on Thursday. And at the same time, the North Korean main delegation also arrived in Incheon as they began their stay at the Athletes Village. Now, meanwhile, one of the things you'll see during the opening ceremony on Friday is the athlete's oath. And on Tuesday, it was announced that Olympic archer Oh Jin-hyuk and Olympic fencer Nam Hyun-hee will represent the athletes in Incheon. Now, they become just the third Korean duo to recite the athlete's oath since the 1986 Seoul Asian Games and the 1988 Seoul Summer Olympics. Now, the oath will be a pledge of commitment to the spirit of sportsmanship and fair play. Now, Oh Jin-hyuk is a London gold medalist and a 3-time world champion, and Nam Hyun-hee has won 5 gold medals during the past 3 Asian Games. And now shifting over to golf, where 19-year-old Kim Hyo-joo returned to Korea on Tuesday after winning the 2014 Apgujeong Championship. Now, with a huge crowd waiting for the champion at the Incheon International Airport, the teen was still soaking in the fact that she just won her first LPGA Tour major over the weekend. But despite the big win, she remained humble as she vowed to improve her stamina and her short game if she wants to do well in the LPGA Tour. Meanwhile, no rest for Kim Hyo-joo as she's set to compete in the KLPGA Championship taking place later this week. And finishing things off in baseball, the Asian Games team began their training on Tuesday. But if you thought the other players in the KBO are taking a nice 2-week break, well, you're wrong. According to several managers of the KBO teams, they're set to hold mini camps throughout the break to work on different things that the teams need. And the teams in Seoul and the metropolitan area, like the Doosan Bears, the LG Twins, the SK Wyverns, and the Nexon Heroes, are set to play exhibition games against the KT Wiz, who are set to join the KBO next season. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Now, Koreans love to go for seconds, for second round, third round of beer parties. And by the time you get to the third round, you're low on money and also the space in your stomach to get all that beer in, right? So, and there's a small size pubs that cater to these beer-hungry people.
Usually when you get past the second round, for meeting the second establishment of a drinking party or something, or maybe a gathering, the number of people that remain, it kind of decreases, right? So these small establishments, very small in size and unique in concepts, are the best places to go. And we're going to talk about one business that really hit the jackpot with that. Jessie Day joins us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here. And yes, we're talking all about the small beer market. A lot of people like to also, in addition to going for round 3, just on a regular day, going for a few beers and some light snacks after work. And that's become quite a big trend over the past 2 years. And there is one company that's been leading the way, Apgujeong Bonggu Beer. So let's take a look at their secrets to success on this week's Strike Gold. At the end of a long day, a nice cold beer is all you want. But you don't much feel like holding a big gathering, neither can your wallet handle it.
Hey, that's me at the end of the day.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You kind of looks like you too.
On nights like that, Bonggu Beer is the perfect place. It's the place with that cold beer you've been craving, along with all the mouth-watering dishes. The pub is full of young and old patrons, but here you wouldn't find any fried chicken or any other elaborate dishes that we normally associate with beer in Korea.
I like that it's very casual. All I need is one beer and one cheesesteak order.
It's all affordable and simple, an easy place to stop by for a cold one. These are the traits of small beer. Instead of a cushy couch and a giant table, a bar-like long table and wooden chairs invite people in. And you won't be waited on hand and foot. Be ready for some self-serve.
The small beer concept is easy and comfortable. It should be easy for the owner to run the store and for the patrons to have fun.
These days, small and cheap beer pubs, coined small beer places in Korea, are all the rage. At the center of the latest craze is Apgujeong Bonggu Beer. Founded in Busan in 2011, today there are over 600 branches nationwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
And look at the size of them. They're all very small size establishments.
Exactly. So let's find out what
Just think of it as if we apply the coffee market concept to the beer market. The brand was designed so customers could have a beer at the price of one coffee.
Now these days, a cup of coffee can go for over 5,000 won. But at Bonggu Beer, you can have both a beer and a pub snack for the same price. The main menus are cheap, ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 won, less than $5 US.
That's $2 for a draft beer.
Easy on the wallet, yeah.
Wow.
But do these cheap eats taste good? Well, the biggest reason behind Bonggu Beer's success is the great taste. The most popular menu item, the fries, are all made with local ingredients. And from cutting to frying, everything is done by the cooks at each pub.
Of course, it's more delicious if it's cooked on the spot, and customers know right away if frozen food is used.
Now, the Bonggu Beer cheese sticks are as popular as the fries as well, and they are also made right there at the pub. A special batter is used to keep them crispy, so compare them to ready-made frozen cheese sticks and there's no contest. So just because you pay cheap doesn't mean it's made cheap, and that does look like quite an appealing spread of snacks there. It's a beer pub, so of course the beer is important. At Bonggu Beer, you can enjoy a variety of beers of different flavors and colors in addition to the regular draft. Fruit beers are especially popular among the ladies.
It comes in different flavors? Wow.
There are many unique types of beer like fruit beer and coffee beer.
Now, they never stop developing new items for their menus. This is a new selection soon to be introduced at Bonggu Beer pubs, but before becoming official, Bonggu has a rule. Any newly developed dish must first go through a taste test by customers.
저희 신메뉴 출시 준비하고 있는데 저희가 한번 드셔보시고 설문지 한번 작성해 주세요.
Each and every dish on Bonggu Beer's menu has been developed, improved, and perfected through detailed assessments by the customers. You can see them quite happy to be giving a taste test
I think
there.
this one's been approved.
And to make sure no one forgets that, there are a good deal of inspections the pubs go through. All the 600 plus pubs around the country are required to go through regular inspections by headquarters, with special attention paid to what is used most often, the oil in the fryer.
Wow.
And that frying oil is so clean.
The main headquarters regularly check up on our cooking methods, expiration dates, and hygiene. We also help branches operate more efficiently.
This is a Bonggu Beer branch getting ready to open. The company dispatches an employee for 3 to 4 days to each branch before the opening to help out with the preparation. The employees not only help out with the interior designs and the cooking, but they actually work with the franchise manager on the very first day. Mr. Kwak Yong-ho had long dreamed of owning a business and finally settled on Bonggu Beer. Bonggu Beer is definitely hot among those looking for a startup.
We open today. I feel good but nervous. I hope I'll be able to make as much profit as Bonggu Beer is popular.
And Mr. Kwak's wish seems to have come true. The small pub is full as soon as it opens, a casual beer to enjoy lightly among friends. Just another example of the small beer trend started by Bonggu Beer is going strong.
Wow.
And we do have some of the
here
food
we have,
different types of beer.
These are some of the
also.
fruit beers from there, and of course several of the snacks as well, the cheese sticks and the fry. That's some ojingo or squid right there as well.
The fries, please?
Yes, please. Give them a
She's
try.
ordering food
Here you go.
on air. So this is the French fries with cheese on top.
Yeah, Parmesan cheese.
And you would need a plastic glove to eat this.
Whoa, this is an interesting looking thing. I suppose you just stick your fingers in
Yes,
or like that and just go.
Really?
You need to
use a napkin.
No
Where I come from, that's not how we do finger food.
I like this.
That defeats the purpose of finger food. It's got to be finger licking good.
You cannot lick your fingers.
That's how you're supposed to have it.
Huh. While I'm at it, I'm just going to go ahead and
let me taste one of those beers over there. Let's get the dark
Which
one,
do you
right?
want?
You don't like the fruity beers, do you?
No. Is this fruity? Can I try this on air right now?
It might be honey. I'm not sure.
Maybe just a sip.
Give it a try.
I might not be able to stop.
That was a gulp, not a sip. Was it good?
Okay, I gotta stop. I gotta put this down before I start enjoying it too much on air. Now, the beer is good.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Absolutely.
It's so affordable for everyone.
Yeah, as we saw, like $2,500 for a single draft beer. So,
so how do they keep their business running? I just don't get it.
Well, the thing is, of course, as we saw, the price is a huge part about the success of it. Most of the menu items are about 3,000, and even the more expensive ones still stay around the 5,000 to 6,000 won range, which is about $5 US. So two people can come in with 10,000 won note and leave satisfied. And experts say that's a really big reason behind their success because there's been an economic slump these days. It's very easy on the wallet. But your question about how they keep it running is the high turnover rate. Because people usually come in for a couple beers and some snacks and then leave and let the next customers in. So there's a very high volume of customers coming through. So that pays off in the long run for them.
High turnover rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it must have been much harder for these owners to make a profit out of these low prices. But how does this Bonggu Beer became one of the hottest franchise brands in this field?
Right. Well, the franchise itself, it has a model which maximizes profits. And it first of all does this by being quite affordable to start up, cheaper than other franchises at under 50 million won. And for this, you get a 33 square meter location. So as you were mentioning during the video, it's not too big.
Yeah.
So this size means less labor costs. And you also have the self-service stations, so the customers can tend to themselves in many ways, and the high turnover rate, as we mentioned. Now, the average Bonggu Beer restaurant makes about 5 million won in net income per month. So it's not huge money, but it's perfect for somebody who's looking to make a living off of a business they enjoy. And it's for this reason that popularity has really exploded amongst people who are thinking of starting up a business.
So they come up with new menus to differentiate.
Yeah, that is squid there.
While I'm reaching for food, because there are a lot of knockoff brands out there who are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Small size pubs. So what's their strategy to really stand out?
Well, it's becoming a big trend these days, as you're mentioning. Like, you know, back in the day, it was all about the big pubs, and that still exists today, as well as world beer pubs where you can try beers from all around the world. And of course, everybody in Korea, if you've been here for any length of time, especially in summer, knows about chimek, or chicken and beer. And now the small pub trend, as you mentioned, it's popping up in a lot of different places. I think the main strategy is to continue to be providing high quality menu items, which Bonggu Beer has kind of set the standard for, at a low price, keep it affordable, keep it light on people's wallets. And besides being just a trend, it's probably going to be something that will become a mainstay of the Korean beer drinking scene.
It's so good.
It's so good. This was the new menu that they were developing. I suppose it passed the test.
It was successful,
These are the squid fries that Jinju cut up with stationary scissors, right?
And a mini tongs.
My daughter has those scissors at home.
I love this, nice and crispy.
It's one of SJ's favorite.
Well, who's standing by for us right there. All right, thank you, Jesse, so much for bringing all this food and also the beer.
And I'm going to have all of this before SJ gets over there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Now, nothing better than a nice cold beer during the summer nowadays, right? But nowadays, we're seeing a lot of fluctuation in the temperature, and more people are susceptible to getting caught with the flu or other infectious diseases as well.
That's right. But many of these illnesses can be easily prevented by simply, keeping our surroundings clean and eating smart.
That's right. So on today's hot item, what we're going to take a look at are different interesting appliances that help you kind of disinfect and get rid of those bacteria that might be in your kitchen or sometimes in your food. food or in your offices as well. So the first item we're going to take a look at is this dishwasher from the Dongyang Magic. And what's interesting about Dongyang Magic is the fact that not only is it the first company here in the nation to kind of develop and manufacture dishwashers, but they're also known for their advanced technology, and they were also able to get #1 brand power from the Korea Consumer Agency as well. So a very respectable company.
I've definitely heard of Dongyang Magic before. Now, the model that you've brought today looks pretty big. It looks like it can handle a decent sized load. So tell us what's so special about this one.
All right, so exactly. So this washer itself basically uses this jet stream right now, and it's able to use the dish soap inside and thoroughly clean all the stuff inside, whether it be the dishes or the cups or even different utensils as well, as you see the soap going in. And with the remaining heat that's inside, it's able to dry out the cups and the dishes, whatever's inside the dishwasher in itself. And what's interesting about this model, this is the 12-person model, it's able to detect how dirty the dishes are or whatever is inside the dishwasher and clean it to that level. And this is, of course, the latest model that we have here.
So I've opened up the dishwasher to see what it looks like inside, and there are 2 racks for the dishes and 3 spray fans.
Right, so it's able to, I guess you could put in a lot of different things in here. What's interesting about this is, looking at the interior, this is very important. This is stainless steel, and when it comes to restaurant and food businesses, they like
the best choice.
Right, exactly. They want to be hygienic, and they use the stainless steel. And if you look inside, there's a very wide wing here, and this is, you're able to get from one end to the other end. Use various different spaces inside. And also on the top, there's another wing here. I'm pretty sure you can't see this from the camera, but this is able to thoroughly clean whatever's inside. And I know some of the problems we have here in Korea is when you eat pop and all the panchans or the side dishes.
And it dries up on the dishes, and it's very hard to get off.
And a lot of people are worried about it. What they do is they kind of wash it a little bit to take out all those residues.
Give it a pre-wash.
And then put it inside the dishwasher. So what's the point these days?
Defeats
but
the
these
purpose.
days, because it's widely covered using these different wings inside, you're not going to have to worry about this. And at the end, on the top, there's kind of like this quote-unquote shower system, kind of gets rid of the all the remaining residue and does that thorough rinsing as well. And you'll be kind of surprised, right, with all this stuff going inside.
So what's the water efficiency like? Is it better or worse than hand washing?
So what's interesting about this is the fact that basically, all the stuff that I said, right, whether it be the jet's water and all the water that's being used and all the different wings that's inside, interestingly enough, it uses far less water than you would if you were to do hand washing. So to be exact, it's actually 87% less water than traditional hand washing itself.
That's quite a significant amount of water saving. So I guess in addition to saving time and energy, it also conserves a lot of water, so a very eco-friendly product.
That's right. So why don't we take a look at our next item?
All right, so the item I've brought here is also a washer of sorts, but for fruit and vegetables instead of dishes. It's called Smart Clean by Lawless Living, and if you have one of these in your houses, you won't have to worry about washing your fruit and vegetables multiples of times, or worry about whether there's pesticide or chemical residues, because it gets rid of all that for you.
Okay, so nowadays I think the fruit that's in season right now, like grapes or apples and I guess pears, and I'm a little bit skeptical because I feel like if you wash it using a machine, it'll bruise a lot, right?
Well, that's exactly what I thought, but this works by a patented centrifuge technology, which means that when you spin, the fruit and vegetables stick to the side and won't bump into things. And if you see the bubbles forming there, that's ozone, and ozone water will disintegrate any chemicals or pesticide that may be on the surface of the fruit and vegetables. So it's a very smart way, a very chemical-free, safe way without leaving any byproducts that may be harmful to our body.
Okay, just like you said, for your produce, huh?
Right, exactly. I guess you don't have to worry about the pesticides like you said, right? So why don't we just try whatever is inside here. We could wash a fruit or vegetables too. So
just open it up, and because of the centrifuge technology I mentioned earlier, you can pop in all kinds of fruits, both the soft ones like grapes.
Grapes bruise very easily, by the way.
Or cherry tomatoes, as well as the hard fruits such as apple.
Wow.
So you can mix those together and you don't have to worry about the apple crushing the grapes.
Not at all.
Interesting.
So all you do, close, turn it on, select the option that you want, and press start. That's all you need to do. Now, the one I brought earlier, I've washed it before the show began, And if you have a look at this lettuce, you can see that it's very clean, so it does a very thorough job of cleaning, but notice how there's not a single bruise or a single tear in place, which means that, you know, it's very physically gentle on the produce.
Okay, so it's very
like
clean.
a
You don't have to
lettuce
worry.
model right
So just to prove it, I'll probably eat it myself, just to prove that it's pretty clean.
Now, what's great about this is that it's a fully automated machine, and, you know, much like the dishwasher that you showed us, it connects to the faucet at the back, which means that it'll fill up with water, wash, drain, and dry the produce all on its own.
Wow.
And there's also different levels of wash depending on how much dirt there is on the fruit and vegetables to begin with. So it's very simple to use. All you have to do is pop the fruit and vegetables in and push a few buttons.
Okay, that's pretty cool, because using the Smart Clean, one of the things that we always worried about when it comes to fruits or vegetables is the pesticides and you know, whether or not you're able to clean it thoroughly, right? But through this, you don't even have to peel off the tomatoes or even the apples and just eat it with the peel, right? Because we all know peels have a lot of nutrients
That's
as well.
where all the nutrients are hidden.
All right, so let's take a look at our final item here. And this is quite interesting.
It looks like a gigantic mug. What is it? Is it a coffee pot or?
All right, so it looks like a coffee cup, right? But this, basically what it is a Kyoto Electric's Wow Cup, and we'll find out why it's all wow about it. So this, basically what it does is it sterilizes different, I guess, kitchenware, even tables as well that you might see. And because of its creative idea and its novelty design, it was able to win gold at one of the top 3 international invention awards as well. So really, definitely getting a lot of rave reviews.
All right, so wow us already.
I was actually, when I was first using this, I was very wild about this. And you know, it uses a very patented docking system on the top where the water would go in at the same time where the steam would come out as well.
Wow.
What this does is eliminates 99.9% of bacteria that might be in your kitchen or cups or anything like that. And there's a difference between using the Wow Cup and without using the Wow Cup. And you can see that the bacterial level has dipped quite a bit.
All right, so we've seen the video. How does it work? Where does the water go in?
It's very simple. You just have to twist it up and put water inside any kind of water, and obviously you have to close it up. And here is the charging system. All you have to do is charge it for 90 seconds. So I know when we like to eat our cup noodles, you know, you have those portable hot pots kind of thing. Exactly. It's kind of like that. You charge it for 90 seconds and you're able to walk around with it wireless and go to different tables. And you have to check this out. I was first shocked when I used this because...
Is it going to be dangerous?
It's not dangerous. So let's say it's very important. You want to turn it upside down because this is where the steam comes out, and this is the ultra fine water particles that come out. And you see here, there's a cloth that you would use for tables like this. So I'm just gonna, just to show it, there's a button here, and here it goes. See that steam? It comes out, and it's very so fine that I feel like the cameras...
If you can put it against your jacket, I think it might show. Because
it's so fine. See that? There you go. And you see that the water comes out here, and you would use this on tables, but it's important, 10 degrees, so that you get that thorough cover.
All right.
And then use it.
To clean. And I guess what's great about this, well, first of all, it's Velcro, so you can remove these pads.
Exactly.
And it's great because it's sterilization by water, not any chemicals, so you'll be able to use it in all the sensitive areas as well, such as, you know, baby nurseries and kitchen as well.
Right, and you know what's cool about this is not only does it sterilize kitchenware and like tables and stuff like that. Let's say you have water left over and you don't want to waste water. What you can do is actually clean the air, because you know, like for example, like my room, it has a lot of like fine dust particles, and you kind of want to get rid of those. So what you have is, check this out. This is cool. Boom!
Whoa!
And what this does, get it away from your face. Is one tip that I want to get.
It's the Moby Dick feature.
Viewers out there, and you let it out, and what this does. It lowers the level of fine dust particles that might be in your room or even in the office as well. So
and I
you
guess
have different uses.
Could act as a mini humidifier as well if you're
Exactly, and I think all of our anchors will agree. We might want to use this in the office as well.
The dry season is approaching, so hand it over to us.
Well, should I spray it over that?
That'd be nice, actually.
That could be a pretty big and bad office prank too. You know,
you want to be careful because
it is very
young.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, this is where we say goodbye on this Wednesday morning.
All right, enjoy that hump day, get through it all, and we'll be back here on Thursday morning at 7 a.m.
Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Where's our